Nearly 2 weeks after Flight 13's historic splashdown, SpaceX is still out in the Indian Ocean fighting to bring Ship 40 home. And in an update posted today, August 7th, the company laid out just how tough that fight has gotten. Recovery crews have been on station since shortly after splashdown, working through increasingly rough seas as they try to stabilize and tow the 52-meter, 171-foot vehicle toward port, and conditions have not been cooperating. Here's the thing that makes this recovery worth chasing in the first place. Back on July 24th, Ship 40 came down off the coast of Western Australia after completing its landing burn, and instead of tipping over and going up in a fireball the way past ships have, it settled onto the water fully intact and kept transmitting data for days afterward. That alone made it the first time a full-scale Starship upper stage had survived both re-entry and a water impact without breaking apart, and it capped off what was already a strong day for the program. Flight 13 itself had a lot going for it before the ship ever touched water. It lifted off from Starbase on top of Super Heavy Booster 20, flew a clean ascent, and nailed hot staging on schedule. From there, it deployed 20 operational Starlink version 3 satellites, the first time Starship has carried and released functioning next-generation satellites instead of mass simulators. On top of that, the ship pulled off its longest in-space Raptor Relight yet, which is exactly the kind of capability SpaceX needs, proven out before it starts pushing toward orbital missions with real trajectory adjustments. Coming back down, Ship 40 ran through a banking maneuver meant to mimic the path future ships will fly when they return all the way to the Starbase tower, then flipped, lit its engines, and eased itself onto the ocean instead of slamming into it. The imagery SpaceX released alongside this latest update tells the story better than any write-up can. The stainless steel vehicle is shown lying on its side, held up by flotation gear that includes large, black, inflatable rings, along with tire-like support structures. One shot gets in close on the aft end, where several Raptor engines are visible and partially underwater, while another pulls back for a full-length look at the heat shield tiles, blackened from re-entry, set against deep blue ocean. There's also video shot under a dramatic sunset, with a recovery vessel lit up in the background as the ship bobs in the swells, and together it all drives home. Both how tough this hardware is, and how hard it is to work with once you're this far from shore. That difficulty is exactly what's playing out right now. SpaceX has support ships on station gathering imagery and data, and teams have gotten flotation aids attached and made attempts to stabilize and tow the vehicle, but the weather has turned. On the same day as the update, Elon Musk said flatly that getting the ship back intact is not looking good right now.
I'd like to quickly remind you to subscribe to our channel if you haven't already. We regularly upload informative SpaceX and space news videos that you won't want to miss. Be sure to turn on the notification bell so you're notified whenever we release new content.
He did have some good news to go with it, though, noting that crews had already pulled close-up photographs of critical sections of the heat shield and engines, and that those images alone will feed directly into future design upgrades, whether or not the ship itself ever sees a dock. And that's really the point here. Even if Ship 40 never makes it to port, this recovery effort is paying off. Getting real, up close, looks at heat shield tiles after an actual high-speed re-entry, and soft water landing gives engineers data that ground testing and onboard sensors just cannot fully replicate, things like tile attachment points and subtle damage patterns that only show up after the real thing. Same goes for the Raptors, some of which fired during that final landing burn. Seeing how they held up through re-entry heating and then straight into seawater exposure feeds directly into the design iterations SpaceX needs to make Starship rapidly reusable. Stepping back, the soft splashdown and the fact that Ship 40 stayed afloat for this long are both real steps toward where SpaceX is ultimately trying to go, which is catching both the booster and the ship back at the tower with Mechazilla's arms. You can't get there without first proving the vehicle can survive re-entry and fly a precise, controlled final descent, and Flight 13 showed the ship can run that flip and burn sequence gently enough to come through in one piece. Expect future flights to keep pushing closer to an actual tower catch attempt as the missions themselves get more ambitious. None of this is easy, and ocean recovery at this scale was never going to be simple. Starship's size and mass alone create problems that Falcon 9, booster, and fairing recovery never had to deal with. Waves stress every attachment point, currents complicate towing, and there's just no getting around how hard it is to handle something this large with normal maritime equipment out in open water. Whatever happens with Ship 40 specifically, this whole operation is stress testing the procedures, gear, and decision-making SpaceX will lean on for every water recovery attempt after this one. Bigger picture, Flight 13 did a lot to build confidence in the Block 3 hardware overall. It proved out heat shield performance under real demanding conditions, showed the satellite deployment system works exactly as intended, and demonstrated the vehicle can stay structurally sound after splashdown, all of which lowers the risk for the more aggressive profiles SpaceX is planning next, including eventual returns to the launch site itself. As of the August 7th update, the recovery team is still grinding away out there under worsening conditions, and it's genuinely unclear whether Ship 40 makes it to port or ends up getting scuttled after engineers finish pulling what they can from it. But that uncertainty doesn't take anything away from what the flight itself accomplished. Between the satellite deployment, the engine relight, surviving re-entry, and pulling off a soft splashdown, Starship took a real step toward operational readiness on this one, and every piece of imagery and data coming out of this recovery effort, even if the ship itself never sees a dock, is going straight into making the next flights better. In a program moving as fast as this one, every intact return and every close-up photo of hardware that made it through counts as hard-won progress.
Thanks for watching today's episode. Don't forget to subscribe and give us a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Stay tuned for another great video tomorrow.